Welcome to How to Survive Divorce Without a Rebound, a Chocolate Coma, or Complete Life Meltdown. I'm Chrissy, an internationally certified divorce coach and mum. If life has handed you a divorce-shaped plot twist you didn't ask for, you're in the right place. Because while I can't make the paperwork disappear, I can help you navigate this chapter without losing your mind, your dignity, or your entire stash of emergency snacks. Each week, I'll help you navigate this chapter with more confidence, clarity, and a lot less overwhelm. So, whether you're listening from the school pickup line, hiding in the pantry for 5 minutes of peace, or taking a walk to clear your head, I'm so glad you're here. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome. Today we're talking about something I believe is one of the most important things we can talk about during separation or divorce that often gets forgotten, because if you're anything like I was at some point, you've probably sat there thinking, am I stuffing my kids up? I'm barely holding it together. How am I meant to help them too? My biggest fear, aside from dying and the kids not having me there to take care of them, was that through my divorce, my children would suffer long-term emotional damage and it would ruin them forever. It was the biggest thing that kept me up at night. And I know I'm not alone in that thought, because I speak to other parents who have had that feeling or continue to have that feeling since they've become single parents. And in fact, I think it's one of the most common quiet fears that parents carry during this season. We don't always say it out loud, but it sits there in the background while we're trying to remember making school lunches or replying to emails or going to work and paying the bills. And I remember thinking during my own separation, if I am this overwhelmed, what on earth is happening for my poor little kids? Because sadly, most parents, I don't think, stop to really consider that their children are going through their own version of the grief and the overwhelm too. And of course, it's different to what we're grieving, but it's still very real for them. And if you haven't already, I definitely recommend going back and listening to episode 1 on grief and episode 2 on what happens to our nervous system during divorce, because those 2 episodes explain a lot of what we're all experiencing here and how to help yourself not burn out and process that grief. And the content in that is also very relevant to what your children are also going through. And when a family separates, children are not just adjusting, they're also grieving just like we are. They're grieving the loss of that family unit that they knew and the routines they'd relied on and the version of home that felt really stable, even if it wasn't perfect, even though it was fighting and felt unstable to us, it was still a version of stable to them, because you're all in that same family home, in that same family unit. And depending on their age, they don't always have the words to express that. So it often comes out in behaviour, big emotions, shutting down. We see this frequently and often we'll dismiss it and think it's something else, but really quite often it's just the grief that they're experiencing and they don't know how else to express it. I just think this is something we really need to hear as parents. Children don't just witness the divorce. They feel it in their body, in their nervous system, just like we do. We often talk about how our own stress response during this season is important, and we want to try and make sure that we're able to stay stable, but children are experiencing their own version of that too. And there's actually quite a lot of research in child psychology showing that major family stress can impact things like sleep, the children's ability to regulate their emotions, their attention span, their behaviour. And the most important thing that research consistently shows is that children do significantly better when they have at least one emotionally safe, consistent, responsive adult, divorce or no divorce. And we're not talking about a perfect parent and not talking about a parent who gets everything right, just one that's safe to them. And when I refer to safe, of course, both parents have a duty of care to provide a physical and emotionally safe environment for their children. But what I'm referring to here is the space where we create for our children to be able to feel that they can be 100% themselves. They can show all the colours of their emotional rainbow and they can still receive from us unwavering love, compassion and understanding. No matter what. I'm not saying not having boundaries. I'm talking about having the capacity to hold the space for these children when they are not coping. And that's really important, because most of us think we need to fix everything for our children and fix it all the time. But what they actually need is something much simpler and also much more doable. When everything falls apart, our instinct as parents is to make up for it, right? So we start doing more, don't we? We do more activities, we give them more treats, or we say yes to everything. We have more things that will distract them. And it's more trying to make life feel normal, what we think is normal. And I completely understand why we do this, because it feels unbearable to think that our kids might be hurting or feeling different to the other families, which they do. So we try to patch it up with things. Here's, I guess, what I learned is that kids don't spell TOYS or TRIPS. They spell time. TIME, and safety and presence. And I know that sounds really simple, but simple is not the same as easy, because being emotionally present when you are running on empty, that is the bloody hard part. If you feel exhausted and forgetful and emotional and highly reactive, or like your brain has turned to mush during this time, there's just actually a really very normal biological reason for this. We are going under this prolonged stress, that divorce and legal stress and parenting stress and financial stress. Our nervous system shifts into survival mode. That's it. And that means your brain is prioritizing safety of everything. So things like memory, focus, your patience, and that ability to be able to make those decisions, they get much harder. And that's why you forget why you walked into the room, or that's why dinner feels like it's just all too much to organize. And that's why you might cry randomly and be on autopilot and feel numb about life. Your system's overloaded, and your children feel that too, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because they are actually wired to feel their caregiver's emotional state. They are energetically connected to you. They're in that environment. They are connected. Whatever you are experiencing, they are directly experiencing. Which brings me to the most important thing. What actually helps your children during this season? So there are 3 things I want to talk about today. And none of them are about being the perfect parent. They're about being a safe one. All right, number 1 is put your oxygen mask on first. And I know this one gets said a lot, but it's said a lot for a reason, because if you have no capacity left in your system, you cannot co-regulate your children. It's just fact. And co-regulation is just a fancy word for, can I be calm enough that my child feels safer when they're with me? Can I be there to stay calm when they are losing the plot, when they are losing their shit? And this doesn't mean you need to be calm all the time. That's impossible. Let's be real. I have yelled in front of my kids on many occasions when things have pushed me to my limit. This is normal, even though I was told that this was not normal. So I felt bad for yelling at my children. But you know what? My limits were pushed. So it's not staying calm all the time. It just means that you notice your own state. And when you are completely depleted, you find every tiny moment to reset, whether that's 5 minutes alone, a walk, a shower where no one knocks on the door, or just sitting in the car before you go inside. Sometimes I just pause, regroup, breathe, and then go inside, because your children don't actually need you to be doing everything. They don't need an immaculate house every day. They don't need all the meals to be nourishingly prepared every single day. Oh my gosh, I needed someone to tell me this to me every single day during my divorce, and still sometimes now. They need you to be emotionally available when it counts, not distracted, not resentful, and not running on fumes. They just need you there. And I know some mums listening might be thinking, but I don't have time for that. And I get it. I really, really do. I've been a single mother for a very long time. Even when I was married, I was the one at home while my husband was not around. But even tiny moments of regulation change how you show up. It's really, really important. And when we say, I don't have time for that, I'm telling you, my best loving feedback is you make time for that, because the flow-on effect later can be huge. The emotional disconnect that comes from not being there for your children during this time can be huge later on. So while you feel like it's okay right now to not invest, if you don't, the relationship you have with your child later will suffer, and the relationship that child has with everything that it has to handle in life will also likely suffer. So putting the effort in now to go, how do I find and make that time for my child now, is critical. What is going to give for me to have time for my child? Before we continue, a quick reminder that if you're going through separation or divorce right now, you don't have to do it alone. My 4-week How to Survive Divorce program helps mothers navigate the survival season with practical tools, weekly live coaching, Q&A support, direct access to me, an internationally certified coach who has personally survived divorce, and a community of women who truly understand what you're going through. I also offer one-on-one coaching if you're looking for more personalised support. You'll find all the details in the show notes or at thisismechrissy.com. Now, let's get back to the episode. The second one is slow everything down. And this kind of links with the last one I've just said. This is the season where less is more. Even though it feels like we should be doing more for our kids, often what they actually need is less stimulation, not more. Less rushing, less pressure, less go, go, go. Because their nervous systems are already processing so much. They are going through grief, and we're not giving them the time or space to grieve. They need that time just like us. So if everything in life is chaotic for that child in this moment, the home environment, that becomes the anchor. Their relationship with you, that becomes the anchor. And that might look like saying no to extracurricular activities. They do not need to be doing every single sport in this time. They're not missing out. They actually need the downtime. Skipping a few social events, not filling every weekend up from morning till evening, and keeping evenings really simple and calm. Such a beautiful foundation for keeping those kids as grounded as possible during this very unstable time. And it might also look like letting boredom just exist again. We're in a society where the kids say, I'm bored, and we have to entertain them. And we don't have to entertain them at all. Get some craft things, give them a piece of paper and a pen and say, go your hardest. Let them be upset, let them be frustrated, let them be angry, let them be those things, as long as you can hold that space for them. But that also requires you to have taken the time for yourself to put your oxygen mask on first. So we've got to get that part right, then we slow down. And I know that this feedback is hard because sometimes we feel guilty saying no, but you are not robbing your children by slowing life down. You are actually giving their nervous system the space to breathe. And we forget that children need that downtime the same way that we do. Not entertained, not managed, just stillness. Sit with that for a second. Number 3, protect bedtime like it's gold. All right, this one is my favorite because bedtime is often when children finally let everything out. I'm sure as parents you have experienced this at some point or other. When the world goes quiet at bedtime, all those feelings come out. And I notice this so much with my own kids. Bedtime is where the questions come, the emotions come, and all of their worries, just word vomit comes out. So in our house, bedtime became something I really slowed down. I actually set this routine up from when the children were born because my husband was often not available due to his work. He was never really around. So I staggered bedtime routine from the beginning to make sure that I was giving both children that quality time because I couldn't divide and conquer. So it was my process of helping each child wind down, be there for them. I do one child and then I would do the next child. So it's kind of like a little connection window with each child. One child I do at a time. While I'm with my youngest, my son goes and reads in his room and then he waits till I'm finished with my daughter and then I move in with her. Soft lighting, no rushing, very calm and quiet talking, reading together. We talk if we want to talk. Sometimes we laugh, sometimes we cry, sometimes it's just cuddling. And then I stay there until they're settled. And I know some people will say, oh, but that doesn't build independence and resilience. You know what I say to that? Maybe that's true for some kids in some seasons, but what I've learned is that during divorce, that's bullshit. Children build independence through safety, not separation. When they feel safe enough for long enough, they naturally start to stretch away from you. But when they're dysregulated or going through that big change, they don't need pushing. They need grounding and they need people to wrap their arms around and say, I got you. This phase doesn't last forever. But what it does create is connection, and that connection is what will carry them through, even into adulthood, because they might not remember those exact moments that you sat by them, but they remember the safety that they felt during that time with you. And they will come back to you when things get really, really tough as they get older, because they remember, oh, that's right. When I was really, really struggling, my mum was there and I know I'm safe to tell her anything, anytime. I'll give you a little insight into how I do it. Of course, everyone's circumstances vary because the ages and the number of children, but I have 2 and they're 2 years apart. I'll sit first with my daughter and then we'll have this little set routine. My son goes into his room and quietly either shoots hoops or plays solitaire with his deck of cards or he reads in bed. And while he's waiting for me, my daughter picks the books that I go in to read her. I get her hot water bottle if it's cold and then I come and sit by her bed. And with this, we have this soft lamp. I read stories with her snuggled in near me. And I don't rush this. take my time because she feels the rush. Then she hops into bed, and this is when the magic happens. This is when she will talk openly at her own will about whatever is going on for her. Sometimes I might ask a question, how are you going? Or what happened today at school? Or if I know something's up, I'll just subtly bring something up. And then we talk through together. I give her more gentle cuddles, and then she gets into her bed and we either pray together or she does a meditation, and I wait for her until she's fully asleep before I go into my son's room. We've gotten to a point now where I can say to her, I'm just going to leave for a moment to go check on Teddy, and then I'll come back, and she's happy to just quietly go to sleep. But for a period there, she wasn't okay with that. And so I didn't leave her. I sat with her until she felt safe, that I was okay to go. And then I go into my son's room, and he usually wants me to play a game of cards with him, or I just sit next to him and read some of his book with him. We usually have a chat, and that is when the gold comes out. If there is something I know he's holding back on, and I ask questions, and if not, sometimes he just blurts it out, it's beautiful. We talk it all through. We have some more cuddles. He asks me to sit with him for a little bit. He always asks me to sit and stay with him. He feels safe enough to ask me to stay with him because I've never made him feel like he has to be a big and brave boy. If he wants me to go, I know he will ask when he is comfortable enough. Those moments with them are gold because that's when they want to talk about the things that they are holding in. And by sitting quietly and just listening and then helping them if they need help to solve or to process it, it just doesn't get stored inside them and it releases. The impacts of their emotional and physical health right then and there are so incredible because from all the research and learning that I've done, I truly believe that without that release, that shit shows up for decades or even maybe a lifetime if it's never actually dealt with. So why have those children wait until they're in their 40s and having a midlife crisis to process their grief and issues? Why not be there for them right now in that moment so that they can process it and deal with it right then and there? Bedtime, I swear by it. And a really important reminder, and I want to say this gently, you cannot control what happens in other households. You cannot control how things are spoken about or what routines exist or what emotional space is available in other households, as in your ex-partner's household. It has taken me years to accept this, and it caused me a lot of pain and grief to watch my children come back dysregulated each time, and knowing I couldn't control that was so hard for me. But what you can control is what happens in your home. And that's powerful because children don't need identical homes. They just need at least one place where they feel I can just be 100% me here. I don't have to be good. I don't have to be brave. I don't have to be strong. I don't have to be perfect and quiet and eat perfectly and do the perfect things and follow all the rules. No, in that house that they're with you, allow them to be 100% them with all their flaws, just like we have flaws. And we always want somebody to love us exactly who we are as we are. So why not allow that child the space to be exactly who they are in your home so they feel emotionally safe to be there at all times? And you don't have to do all this perfectly. You're not meant to. There will be days when you lose it. There will be days when you order takeaway again and again and again. Or there are nights that bedtime is chaos. Or they go to bed later in my house. Or something happens and it just all goes out the window. That's all normal. But if over time your child experiences you as the safe place to land, that is what shapes them. It's not the perfection. It is the presence. So if you can take anything from today, let it be this. Your children don't need you to fix divorce. They need you to help them feel safe inside it. And you don't have to do it alone. If you are listening and thinking, I know what I want to do, but I don't know how to actually do it in my real life with my real children, that's exactly the kind of work that I do in my coaching. We take real situations that you're dealing with in your home and I work through them with you on how to bring more calm, connection and regulation into your family in a way that actually fits your life. Because life just doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be supported. So thank you once again for showing up today and joining me with lots and lots and lots of love to you and your beautiful children. This is me, Chrissy. Thank you so much for being here. If this episode resonated with you, you'll find a summary sheet in the show notes along with details about my one-on-one coaching and 4-week How to Survive Divorce program if you'd like additional support. If today's episode helped you feel seen or sparked a small step, don't forget to follow or subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And if there's a woman or mother in your world that needs this kind of support, send this to her because it might be the reminder, reassurance or support she needs right now.
Until next time, be kind to yourself, skip the rebound, leave the chocolate coma behind, and keep taking one step at a time. Lots of love, Chrissy. Just a reminder that everything shared in this podcast is based on personal experience, coaching perspectives, and general wellbeing information. The stories and insights I share come from my own lived experience and are intended to support and encourage you, but every person's situation, relationship, and healing journey is different. What worked for me or for others may not be right for you. This podcast is not medical, psychological, legal, or therapeutic advice, and it's important that you seek support from qualified professionals for your own individual circumstances. Please use your own judgment and take what resonates with you while considering your own experiences, needs, and well-being. If you're struggling emotionally, experiencing severe distress, or feeling unsafe, please contact a mental health professional or emergency support service in your area. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next episode.